Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Dine Sports YouTube page and podcast network. Joining us today for episode 8 is Paul Howard. We're going to be talking all things football, all things community, and capacity building as well. Before we get to the interview, just a friendly reminder, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe below, comment, like, and share. I'd love to get any kind of feedback we can to keep delivering this kind of content to you guys in the community. Paul is a longtime football ambassador and has been playing multiple roles as well too throughout his career. He's been a player, he's been a volunteer, he's been a coach, he's been everything sort of in between there. And his efforts, especially working with not only at-risk youth, but in underserved communities, actually earned him the NFL Youth Coach of the Year award. And those kinds of awards, they get thousands and thousands of applicants every single year. So to be recognized for the kind of work that he was doing in the community there is definitely something special, and definitely something that doesn't happen every day. On top of that, he's also relaunched the St. Pat's High School football program, and we're going to talk a little bit about what kind of work goes into actually getting a program up and running. And it's definitely more than just showing up and saying, "Hey, I'm ready to coach." There's all sorts of things that go on behind the scenes there as well. So a lot to unpack. Some of these interviews, I kind of have to lead the guests on some questions. You'll figure out pretty quickly that Paul's got stories for days, and we probably could have had this be a 3-hour interview. So definitely we'll look at possibly having him back in the future. But without further ado, Paul Howard. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Dine Sports YouTube page and podcast network. Joining me today is Paul Howard. Paul, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, great, Kyle.
Great to have you on here. You've
I'm
been
happy
staying
to be here too.
good. You've been staying busy during quarantine. What have you been up to?
Talk about weird times, right? So my business, Ruckify, better software, not my business, I work there, but it's been so busy for us. And we weren't sure how things were going to turn out. But just before the quarantine, I hightailed my butt back. I was in Utah, hightailed my butt back to Ottawa before they really shut the border down.
Yeah.
We had a whole team down in Texas, brought most of them back. And we didn't know what to make of those first few days, and kind of looked like the world was falling off a cliff. And we had to take some tough business decisions. But in doing so, we realized that this is actually an opportunity, that nothing's ever going to be the same. There's no such thing as a new normal. Yeah. It's just everything's changed. Yeah. And maybe some things go back to 30-40% of the way they were, but everything else it's all brand new. Yeah. So because of that, our business actually has been booming, and we're shocked by it. We should have been shocked by it. In software, and Ruckify is now the world's largest rent anything marketplace, but it's just skyrocketed. I think it's because, especially the rental business, people are looking for. I saw an interesting stat today. It's a horrible stat. 1 out of 4 Americans unemployed today. Mm-hmm. Well, that's horrible. Yeah. So maybe Canada's a little better, but it's still very tough. And so our platform allows people to save money and make money. And when you think about it, rentals grew out of the Great Depression. So believe it or not, a bad time is a great time to build a business. So that's enough of an advertorial plug for Ruckify and better software.
Well, you got to get it out of the way with, right?
Yeah, I didn't need to, but it's just so weird. Yeah. And now our business is booming. Never worked so much in my life. So forget this home, save the commute and all that.
Yeah.
Usually I spend all my time in the States, and I'm happy to be back. And, the one downside was I wasn't able to see my kids for 12 weeks. I just saw them the first time this week. So that was pretty special. I went to the cottage with one of them. So,
yeah.
But it's just one of those things, just hard times for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Spike Lee tweeted out the other day that there's going to be a second BC for years now. So there's going to be next year will be 180, but it'll be before COVID. So things are changing at a rapid pace for sure.
Well, I was on a call with the Facebook Canada manager, and what they were saying, now's the moment. Like, this is the moment. What are you going to do about it? Yeah. So I think in anything you're doing, now is the moment. And it's not easy for people to see that now is the moment, but it really is. So don't waste your time. Get at it, because something's going to happen. And you'd rather make things happen than have things happen to you. So, yeah, it's really difficult, but we will remember this period, well, for as long as I live anyways. It'll be a long time.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So you're a big sports guy. I mean, for those that are tuning into our YouTube page, you got a Sens jersey hanging in your background right there. But really, your first love has sort of always been football, right?
Always been football. In fact, hockey I'm okay with. But let's face it, when my son at 9 years of age, however old he was, said he wanted to play, I started him at football at 6. One of my sons,
Yeah,
and he said he wanted to play hockey at 9. I said, "Oh God, no!" And can we try skiing or something, or what else can we do? And so I took him out to a Russian figure skating coach out in Nav, and I said, "This is the first time you can play. We're getting up at 5 a.m. There won't even be a second chance. This would be the easiest decision in my life not to get up so early." And he never complained. And 100 lessons later, he's a pretty good skater.
yeah,
So those are just some of the stories, right? But yeah, I'm football all the way. I grew up poor in Heron Gate. I could never afford like hockey really. Um, and so football was like taught me everything. I went to business school at Queens, but I will tell you, I learned more about business from playing football than any other game. And I'm
yeah.
sure you do basketball, and that's probably the same things. And what you learn about your teammates and how to play together, and it's critical. And those are all business skills that you can apply in your life. You
Yeah.
know, the amount of preparation from versus the amount of playing time, right? All those things about preparation meets opportunity, and all those skills and everything motivational you learn. And I think teamwork's the biggest thing that you learn. So, and how to compete, because in life you got to compete. But there's one good thing: half of life is showing up, and probably life is a little easier in sports, even for that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you hit the nail on the head there. Many call football the ultimate team sport, right? What is it about football that seems to form these just such intense, lifelong bonds between the players on the team?
Well, it can be pretty tough sometimes, right? Just call some of your basketball practices too, right? When you're being run into the ground. So this it's tough, and it's a physical game. And there's no two ways about that. But as soon as I start doing your job, Kyle, I'm not doing mine. And you're gonna lose. And the other team's so smart, they're gonna see where the weakness is and they're gonna exploit it, and they're gonna keep exploiting it until you stop it. So that's what makes it like chess in many respects. And so you have to realize you got to count on the person beside you, like the Marines. You must count on them. If I do your job, I'm not doing mine. We're going to lose, and it's that pretty much that simple.
Yeah, and you know, we'll touch on your NFL Youth Coach of the Year award in a minute there, but at sort of what point in your life did you start making the transition from, you know, actually playing the game that you love to actually coaching the next generation?
Well, let me tell you, when I first started seeing it, so I was like 6 years old, and I saw a picture on like a grocery store saying try out for the football team, and I tried out for the first few years. I never made the team. And back then it was Alta Vista Raiders, and Alta Vista Raiders was a dynasty. They never lost a game, not many. Them and the Pina Rams. So one year I finally made Mosquito. Maybe I was like, I don't know, 9 years old, 9, 10. And it was last cuts. It was between me and another guy, and they flipped the coin, and I won the coin. So I got to stay. But within a year, I was most valuable player, and then it kept going from there. So it's funny how it works. Like, probably my build wasn't the best for football. It was okay, I was fast. But it's amazing how a kid just has a dream that could be any sport or anything, or, to be a teacher or doc, whatever your dream is, it's in the mind of a child. And when the child sees that, anything's possible. And football was like that for me. So that's all I would say about football. It was always my dream. And when I got there, I just loved to play the game. And I couldn't get enough of it. It was very physical, and I kind of liked that. And, you didn't get in trouble for hitting somebody legally. So I don't know. I always I loved it. And then football in many respects was like my father. It taught me so much. And I had amazing coaches, from Wally Harris, one of the best ever at Alta Vista Raiders, to Jim Shirelli at Richmond High School. These people are legends, and they were like my father. Really, really were. They taught me. They were tough on me, but they taught us so much, and that's in myself, all of us. And a lot of great players came out of there. And so those are, and then Doug Hargraves at Queens, but those are the people that form you. And so I was out in the business world doing pretty well. And I moved back to Ottawa, and I was divorced this time. I thought, okay, I'll get back and coach my kids.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden it started to hit, boy, I really enjoyed this. What I take a 15-year break from the game or whatever it was. And I just remembered all those things flashing back. I used to, walk to practice. My parents were poor, and there's nobody driving. And, and all those life lessons about how to compete and flash back to my time at Queen's Business School. Like my marks went up in university. I transferred into business school, right? Most people go down, right? Because I always competed. And I didn't go to a private school or any of these things. I had no advantages. But I had advantage of desire and the thirst to achieve. And that's something that all these kids have. And that's what I admire. So all these stories kept coming back to my head, Kyle. And I said, boy, I loved it. I forgot how much I loved this game. And then it became less about my kids. In fact, it wasn't about my kids at all.
Yeah.
And especially the kids I was working with. And then we go back into that story at Heron Gate and all that. There's so many stories there where I grew up. But everything flashed back. And then, so ultimately, because I was working so much, like, I don't think I'm the best coach in the world. Let's just get that one out of the way right away. So it wasn't necessarily about the X and O's. I'm not too bad in the area, but it was about, you've heard this before, the Jimmy and the Joes.
Yeah.
And that's what it was about, how to relate to kids, especially kids with rough upbringings. And I'm happy to talk about that. But that's what the NFL recognized, that I know how to relate to kids that maybe other folks don't know how to relate to. And from that, it just kept going. I never asked for the award. It's kind of a, double-edged sword, right? Because I'm sure not, maybe many think they're better coaches than they probably are.
Yeah.
But no one will be more committed or advocate for the community, for the youth than I will. And that's what you learn in football. You learn how to compete. You learn how to fight legally, and away you go. So those are the things in football that, again, I learned more from football than business school, and it can make you successful if you apply it.
Yeah. Do you find yourself, now that you are coaching again and back in that world, are you repeating any of the coachisms that
Oh, yeah.
coaches growing up used to tell you all the time to your players?
Absolutely. I've stolen every one.
Any particular favorites that come to mind?
Oh, I don't know. I can be pretty cutting sometimes. And don't forget, so this is what I do know, okay, is that in the old school of coaching, now everybody's kissy, huggy, huggy. But if I thought a player was really good, or whomever, the coach is normally twice as tough on the best player, because that kind of set the tone for the team, right? And if the best player is not getting favorable treatment and they're being worked twice as hard and they're being called, let's think of Bill Parcells or somebody, right? Or Belichick, somebody. Like, they're pressing buttons on their best players. Why? Because everybody else falls in line. And then the other thing those coaches do is everybody has a role, right? Everybody has a role. Like, there's no passengers. And it may seem like you're the backup free safety or something, but, I'll let you know what's important about that job and what your role is and why it's so important. Yeah. And so that's what coaches do. And they're baking a cake, they're making a recipe, and they're competing. And then the other thing is a lot of coaches, they're recruiters, which is fine. And they have a giant playbook, which is fine. But I always found the best coaches were more concerned about the whole person. They were teachers, right? They weren't this, well, every coach likes to yell, but they were more about teaching, right? Teaching. Yeah. And fundamentals and building a foundation. And that includes more than football. And in doing that and working on character and then execution, running just a few plays, but running them really well, that often you're going to have really good success. And then what I have always enjoyed was our fellow coaches are often friends. Mm-hmm. But when the ones that are teachers, I enjoy it so much because you're not yelling back at each other. You know what the other guy's up to. You're trying to work twice as hard to beat him. Yeah. But it's calm. Like, you're just, we're not playing. That's, and I've always, this is one thing I do tell the players. So listen, all I want you to remember is one thing. I want fans, your parents to cheer. I want you to play. I want the refs to ref, and I want the coaches to coach. And as long as we remember each one of our jobs, we're going to be just fine. Yeah. But if you start coaching, or you start reffing, or your parents start reffing or coaching, then we got a problem. Yeah. Or if I want to play, we got a problem, a big problem, right? Yeah. So
the cooks in the kitchen,
right? And I'm not your parent. Always remember that I'm not your parent either, right? So there's a certain distance, but a nice distance.
Yeah,
but it's still here.
For
right?
Sure.
So those are all the things you learn, and then about competing and getting it right, and when you screw up, sometimes the coach, one thing I don't do is yell at the refs, and I don't yell at the players in a game. I'll bring them off, we'll have a little chat, and I'll put it right back in. And I just find it just you get a better product, and the team's calmer. And I must say I'm calm, right? I'm like a junkyard dog coach of defense. That's my specialty. And there's one thing I've always learned, and not everybody agrees with this, but one thing I was taught, that if you can cover, that means you can blitz.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't cover, you sure as heck better be able to blitz,
Yeah.
right? So I'm always after them, right? So there's different philosophies in defensive coaching, but I'm definitely going after them.
Yeah.
And that's the defensive postures, that we're going to take something away from you, and until you adjust, we're going to keep taking it away from you. We want to dictate, and offense wants to dictate back. So that's what I enjoy. There's a lot of great defensive coaches, I think. So again, am I the best coach? I'm just a good coach, but but when it comes to relating with players, absolutely, that's what I do, and I'm not always nice to them.
Yeah.
But trust me, they know what authentic or what real is. I guess authentic, people using that word all the time now. What real is, they know real. And if you care about them, and I can give you a couple of stories if you want, Kyle, or just let me know.
Yeah. No, well, I'd love to hear how, the actual NFL Coach of the Year award actually sort of came up. So you said, it wasn't something that you actively sought
Yes,
out.
I was
How did
nominated.
that come about?
I was nominated, and I was coaching with the Mustangs, South Ottawa Mustangs, Canterbury Mustangs. Great program, been around for over 50 years. And, I can't separate what I do from the families, and I'm working with a lot of poor families.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always treated the families and kids with respect. I got to know the cultures, many different cultures. And again, the parents like the fact that you're working with their kids, right? And the kids are really fun. So how I got involved, Kyle, if you let me digress, being raised again in Heron Gate, probably in the year, well, there's a few times, but there was a number of shootings. And there was 3 shootings in 3 nights. And this is where I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
I said, enough of this stuff. Like, this is not my Ottawa. And, one time you think gangs in Ottawa, you're talking about the Beavers, the Scouts, or the Brownies, right?
Mm-hmm.
No longer. But no longer. I won't say the name of this gang, but they're a hardcore gang. They're not even from the area they're named after anymore. They're in Heron Gate.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean hardcore, they're shooters. And what they do is they prey on the youth. And because I've always learned that youth, if you're not showing them some love and some hope, some opportunity, the gangs will. And their type of opportunity and hope is not so good because, things don't end up well. And you probably won't live. So believe it or not, in Ottawa now, they're hardcore gang members. They're shooters. They go from city to city. It gets too hot here, they go to Toronto, Montreal, Thunder Bay, Edmonton, Calgary, you name it. It's almost too late for them, right? Not necessarily, but it's a lot, really tough. So, that's kind of how I got involved in the community and just doubled down in the community. So I got in Heron Gate, and the facilities are so bad there. And I don't want to say too much about the city or the landlords or anything, but what I would tell you, there was really nothing there. So the parents are so amazing. I love the spirit of the parents. And I'll never forget, so new Canadians, and I had this other guy, Brian, he's a biker. I mean, all tatted up, 6'5", scared the heck out of me. Turns out he's got a heart of gold.
Yeah. So
he gets surveying. We made our own field, totally illegally, in Sandalwood Park. It was the field, they flattened it, surveyed it, used the surveying tool, I don't know why, right? And they had to, parents really got down their hands and knees, and they built the field by hand.
Wow.
With little shovels, nothing, no heavy equipment.
Yeah.
It was built with love. And then we seeded it and flattened it, and they chalked it up. And all of a sudden, I called up my buddy, Sean Batiste, over at Cumberland Panthers. And Sean grew up in Vanier, tough area too. And we have the same background. And I said, Sean, he's got a great team. I said, would you come over and play the Mustangs? We built our own field in Heron Gate. Now, things are pretty privileged out in Cumberland, generally.
Yeah.
And I give him credit because they parked over the license bureau on Walkley Road or in Heron Gate on the streets, and they're coming in this community, and it's not what they're used to seeing. So, and it's fine, but none of you are from these communities. So they're coming in, and they're wondering what my kid, they're like, what's going to happen to my kid, right? But to give them credit, we had a great exhibition game, and from there, football just kept taking off in Heron Gate and Hetherington Road, look at the players that are coming out of that area now. Jesse Lakuta and Neville Gallimore, there's a long list behind them. And Moon Reef, who you know,
Yeah.
I had him playing football wide receiver, but I think he made a pretty good choice to go to basketball.
He's doing all right for himself there.
Yeah. But he was like 6'3", like 10 years old, so he could throw the ball up high and he could go grab and get it. But anyways, that was Sandalwood Park, and it wasn't just the Mustangs. It was I did touch football up in Russell Heights, Russell Road, and Harrington, and Banff, and just from that Ledbury, that we're able to. And what I learned is all of a sudden I enjoyed doing this so much. I forgot about my own kids. I forgot about golf membership or cottage. I just love doing this. And originally the kids would always be late, half hour late. But then they see them come over the hill in the Russell Heights, and all of a sudden they started not being late. It might take 6 months, but not being late. And just the joy and just playing the game, and old school where you just touch football, you make your own boundaries and everything. And the kids love to play the game. So that helped out the tackle football program, built a pretty good program up. But that was never the goal. The goal was just to engage kids. And there's a lot of trouble. So I've had, folks that are, people were shot on players' doors and some really bad things. And some players, they didn't always, turn out so well. Most didn't have done really well. To this day, they still call me. And I don't know, Kyle, I'm doing a lot of talking. Do you want me to share one story with you? Would that be okay, or two?
Love it.
Okay, so this is my heart. You can see the affinity. So maybe this passion is why 50 people sent different stories in the NFL, all different ones. And I think a lot of coaches buy food and drive kids and all that. I know that. So I'm not, a lot of coaches do that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you do too, right? Helping kids. If a kid hasn't eaten, they haven't eaten.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Tough on the field. So there's two stories. So one story is I'm up in Cedarwood Drive, and a young man there, and he says, "Coach, are you a loafer?" And I said, and I won't use the name. I said, "Joe, what do you?" And it wasn't Joe. Joe, what do you mean a loafer? Because I don't know what a loafer is.
Yeah.
And he says, "Coach, these are the people that come every year to Heron Gate and they bring us a turkey." I said, "Well, that sounds pretty good. Turkey? Count me in."
Yeah.
He says, "Yeah, but Coach, we never see him again." And just got to understand, these kids have been rejected all their lives. And another, especially a white guy coming into the community, well-dressed, bringing a turkey. They feel good about it. And I think it's a good thing, by the way. Just keep bringing turkeys.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they feel the rejection. Like, you're coming, but then you're leaving. So they really what they want to know, am I going to stick around? And I stuck around for a long time, 15 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was really the story. Are you a loafer? Now, how's a loafer? So one thing sometimes these youth will not look you in the eye. Okay. Especially an adult. So they'll always look at your shoes. And all these people coming to the community had really nice shoes. So only a 13-year-old kid will say, "Are you a loafer?" Because they looked at the nice shoes that were loafers. So they had names for the people that were coming to the community, and the ones they never saw again the teams were called loafers.
Yeah.
So those are some of the stories that the NFL recognized and other people told, and just understand that I'm an advocate for the community, for the youth, and not always popular with speaking truth to power. But when I see a community not being marginalized and being preyed on by gangs, somebody's got to speak up.
Yeah.
So
well, you've hit on an interesting point there too, and you've even spoken about it too. Whether it's Neville Gallimore getting drafted to the Cowboys, Mariel Shayok from the south of Ottawa just got drafted to the 76ers. Moon, Jesse. So, and it's such a small geographical area as well too. It's almost becoming a hotbed for NCAA and professional talent.
I really want to tell you, when I'm running these programs, some of these kids show up with no shoes in Canada. They're wearing dress shoes.
Yeah. Oh,
okay?
absolutely.
Dress shoes. Okay, secondhand dress shoes. That's all they got. Okay,
whatever they can get their hands on.
But all of a sudden they get playing, and so it's a hotbed of talent. But truthfully, Kyle, you know what I'm more excited about? The people that would become great citizens. I run something called How to Get a Job in One Day, and where people have gotten jobs at 16 years of age or 15. Some of them have over 10 grand saved now. Taught them the value of money, how they'll make way more money doing this than they ever will being in the gangs. Okay, I'm more proud of those kids that have become teachers or just, taxpayers, decent citizens and lawyers, whatever the heck they decide they want to be, whatever they dream of and get married, or if it's right for them, and, whatever they choose. But, they're going to have a great life, and our city will be better. It will be whole. The rich and the poor, not just the rich people, everybody focus on, let's make this city whole. And when we make the city whole, we have less problems, and violence is totally unacceptable. Shootings are unacceptable. But the fact is, unless we get right into the community's grassroots, upwards, not top down, bottom up, this will only get worse.
Yeah.
So I think the police are obviously doing their best, but they've made a lot of mistakes when they militarized the police. So let's not get into too much of that. But I know what works, and the kids are great. I've never met a bad kid in my life, ever, ever. I always say, if you have a problem player, fire the coach.
Yeah.
Because, there's no such thing, right? I'm not saying you don't have tough love, you don't work it out, and you don't have a lot of things going on, but, fire the coach. You get a problem player, fire the coach.
Yeah.
So there's always a way. So and then another story I'll share with you. This a story is pretty personal for me, and it's where a troubled family, and so I'll be careful what I say here. Family, brothers in jail, great kid. Let's call him Joe number 2, okay?
Yeah.
So Joe number 2, it's a tough story for him, but a good one. Joe's been kicked out of every school in Ottawa at the age of 10. Moved every year, changed schools, always acting out. Again, these kids, they want attention. If you don't give it to them positively, they will take it negatively just fine, right? Pushing buttons, right? They have so much skill and desire. And I've always admired, I always say, listen, guys, you guys have an advantage. Some of the rich kids, those private school kids I was at with Queens, they've got a problem because they don't have that desire you have. And some of that street smart you have, where you can size things up in 30 seconds, you know why? Because you have to. Well, they don't have that. And so these are all advantages you have. While you don't have money, while things are tougher for you, just understand inside you've got a lot more. So I just try to stress that. So this person's a tough person. Every coach freaks out on this kid. And so Joe, you have to make sure don't call his name. He knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And if you're in the club, you know who I'm talking about. Okay, and there's many of these Joes. Okay.
Yeah.
So Joe, every coach would lose their proverbial, on him. Be throwing clipboards down and just running laps and yelling, and Joe just kind of enjoyed it, right? And Joe's a really good player, by the way. Like that, the other player we talked about, he's right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So Joe, he's just like, Joe's causing trouble all the time. And every coach, so why don't you kick him off? I said, no, problem player, problem coach. So what I told Joe was, I'm not going to yell at you. I know every coach is yelling at you, every teacher's yelling at you. I'm just one more white guy yelling at you. I'm not yelling at you. I said, okay. We're still laughing and clowning around and yeah, whatever. I said, okay, well, so every time something went on and a lot of things happened, like multiple times during practice, come on over. I'm not going to yell at you. We go to knee because I always want to look them in the eye. I said, I care about you. I want you to know that. I can't have this. I'm not going to make you run laps. Go back in there. Let's understand every time I got to come over, we're going to have another talk until I wear you out. Well, this test of wheels would go on for months, like literally 8-9 weeks. And most guys say, why is this kid on the team, right? And truthfully, I'm not trying to win games. I'm trying to win players. I'm not trying to win, make citizens. And, and I couldn't care less if it's football. And I'll explain that in a second. So I guess that's what the NFL recognizes. It's not about winning. It's about winning in life. Yeah. And so from that, Joe, all of a sudden, Joe, one thing I don't believe in, Kyle, is false praise. So right now, a lot of participation trophies and hey, Johnny, you did so well, and Johnny didn't do well, right? Listen, it's one thing kids know if you did well or they didn't do well, okay? So cut the you-know-what, right? Be encouraging, be earnest, but don't give false praise. So when you do give praise, it goes a long way, okay? So what I would do, and of course the parents would never be there, and people always run down on these parents. Are you kidding me? New immigrants, they're working 3 jobs, 6 kids, 3 jobs, and they don't know when they sleep. And they're all minimum wage jobs. They don't speak the language. They should all have heroes stuck on their chests. Try that out sometime, right? Cleaning offices or taxis, whatever they might be doing, right? Good for them, right? They care about their kids just as much as we do. I know, maybe more. They have to put up for a lot more. Okay. So from that, so Joe number two is still causing trouble. Joe 2 is getting a little better, but not a lot. Okay. So all of a sudden, Joe 2 is starting to come around. And I say, and Joe 2 is starting to really come around now. And it's in a game, and Joe 2 is defensive end, doesn't go offside, knocks the player down in front, but helps him up. I said, keep knocking him down. Help him up. By the fourth quarter, he's running away from him. He thinks you're crazy, right? Just remember that. And just, and let's not do anything dirty in the quarterback, and no offsides, no mental mistakes, all those things coaches teach, right? About mistakes, limiting mistakes. Joe doesn't make any mistakes. After the game, this is a guy I never yell, okay? I yell my loudest coach's voice. The coaches love to yell. And because Joe's parents are there, but there's lots of adults around. I say, Joe, that was the best game ever seen you play. I'm so proud of you, and this is why. You didn't go offside. You let up on the quarterback. You still brought him down. You played with determination, dignity, and courage. I love everything about you. And yell it as loud as I can. And Joe's a little taken aback. Joe number 2 is taken aback.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, next day at practice, Monday, Joe's coming across the field or parking lot. Joe's walking on air. I go, I got another one. I got him.
Yeah.
Right? Got him. Sure enough, Joe, after that, Joe's real easy. We still have some conversations, one-on-one, away from other players, kneel down, lie to eye. Hey, Joe, now it's Joe, don't disappoint me. Joe knows I can. Okay? So the conversations get a lot easier. And then the conversations are, Joe, what else do you like in life? How about school? Oh, no, coach, no. Joe, what else is there in life? How about what do you like in school? As I say, don't tell me recess or lunch. And that's the standard line I use for every kid, okay? Yeah. But at least that breaks the ice. I say, how about music or, English? Shakespeare is pretty cool. I know they got that funny voice, and I never understood when I was a kid. But those are really good stories, actually. How about math? I like math. You always get an answer, pretty much. Art, yeah, apparently you can draw. Like, well, what interests you? And next thing you know, you're connecting with the kid about their school. And all of a sudden, guess what happens? The teachers start calling me. Not like they called before. The principals would call before. Now they're calling because what's happened to Joe number 2? Joe talks about coach and football and coach, and he's helping me out. And what happened? Okay, now they're not being transferred school to school and warehoused, and usually kids are pretty smart. Actually, they really are. Yeah. Okay, they're not dumb. And they're not pushing buttons. They're pushing the right buttons now because they're enjoying the praise. And I said, Joe, are you teacher's pet now? No, coach, no. Always have to have some humor, right? But all of a sudden they start, and these kids these days, there's so many of them are still calling me. I always keep a distance. Listen, I get up at 5. Do not call me after 9. And the number other thing is I'm not your parent, right? So there's always a certain distance there where, I establish that, that I'm not your parent, okay? I'm your coach. You need help. And to this day, I have grandmothers call me. And you know what? When the grandmother calls me, there's trouble. So I'm still advocating in the community. And when the kid's in trouble, and some of them are, or when things happen, or they can't, bad money problems or something in the family, and try to get them some help, I still get those calls. But that's that's the two-way street that we make, right? It's like it's not all one way, and putting kids and all these great players and everything. It's also about the other players. So that led to, the NFL award. And I think that's what they recognize, is that passion for the youth, not just about the game. The game is just a vehicle. I couldn't care less if it was music or whatever. But, that's what the NFL recognized. And I'm still the same person. The award's nice, but, it's the next crop. And so football actually left St. Pat's, Kyle, and we were able to bring it back, got some great donors. We raised a lot of money. And I want to make sure the kids all had new equipment. We won the junior championship, 7-man football, never lost a game. It sounds so easy. Then we went to 12-man football. We didn't win a game. But we're loaded, okay? We're loaded for Bear. And our goal is not this year, it's 5 years from now.
Yeah. Now, weren't you a Ridgemont High School alum, though? Yeah, how did you make the cross parking lot allegiance change there?
Well, my kids go to St. Pat's, so that was easy.
Okay.
I'm Catholic, right? But
yeah. Okay. All right.
But, you know what? Football is football, and the kids are still from the same area, and I'm not sure they always get along. Yeah. But it even weird about Heron Gate and Hetherington, they don't get along, the kids. So I would always make them a touch football, mix them up. I say, guys, everyone. I only have 2 rules. Everyone touches the ball, and there's no beefs out here. Okay. So I don't care because they won't cross the street even unless it's to go to school at Prince of Peace, but they're going to head hightail right back. So that's the whole thing. No beefs. Everyone touches the ball. We're going to have fun here. And then we'll make sure we have ice cream and everything afterwards. And it's so much joy. There's so much joy in these communities. These parents work so hard. Everyone looks down on them, and it's wrong. These kids have so much potential. And I'll be happy, Kyle, when everyone realize that those 4,000 youth, 0 to 18 in Heron Gate, many of them were evicted. There's still 4,000 left. And that, by the way, was the largest mass eviction of Black and brown children in the history of Canada. Talk about a shame. We should all be ashamed of that, right? But we have to move forward, make positive choices, and realize the kids that are still there. And the area is great, and crimes and gang are not acceptable. And when we take the place of the gangs by offering hope and positivity, things will be better. That's what's happening right now. I'm also working with a group called Strong Orange, where we're bringing martial arts in the community. Amazing program. It's world class. It's monitored by Queen's University. It's all about data-driven outcomes. Okay, it's amazing, right? I know nothing about martial arts, but I know a lot about kids. They've got all the pros to come in and teach that. And so that's happening now. It's going to be in the schools, and it's incredible when the schools figure out what they're doing. Whenever that is, that'll be great.
So following the trend of them all going pro, we're going to see a rash of UFC fighters now coming out of Heron Gate. Is that what you're saying? Or?
I don't know. But you know what? It takes a strong person to walk away from a fight. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then you're not scared of anybody because you can defend yourself.
Yeah.
And because you have you're having proper nutrition, and you have a strong body and mind. So you can say, that's not for me. Look at Moon, where Moon comes from, right? You don't think he's walked away from things before? Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. And they talk about a leader, right? And all these Neville or Jesse and all, don't think they've walked away from things? Absolutely. Right? Or Mariel, they have, right? They've made different choices. That's not for me, and I'm going to do this way. And, and it's not possible to save every youth. We know there's elements, and that could be anywhere in the city, by the way, not just in these areas. But I see the potential for Ottawa to leverage the youth of these communities to stop the gangs, stop them cold, right? The things are either going to get worse or better. They have a new leader of the Guns and Gang Unit. It's Carl Cartwright, doing a great job. The new police chief, things are improving. While there's still a lot of problems, at least realize the militarization of the police is not going to, I understand you got to do your job, but at the same time, I know what's happening in these communities before the police do, put it this way. If somebody's in trouble, I'm hearing about it way before. So hint, hint, if you're in the community, people are going to tell you things, right? Especially a 13-year-old kid, okay? So pretty much any time, unfortunately, when there's a gang shooting or stabbing, I know one of the parties, maybe both of them. And to this day, those are just dreadful occasions and sad. So, yeah. So that's it. So anyways.
I mean, you've hit on so many different things here. So if you had to sort of...
I love football, music.
Yeah.
Things. Yeah. Let's have joy. Let's celebrate the community. Let's see the positivity. Let's understand the potential and the hope. And every child, we actually had somebody bring 4,000 books in the community, brand new. Naya Houghton, 11 years old, from Ajax. She saw the problems in Heron Gate, and she did something about it. So if an 11-year-old can help the community, I think a 71-year-old or a 31-year-old can.
Oh, for sure. And it comes from all different levels, right? And, sport is just such a powerful tool. What is it that you find in your experience that, sport, it has that ability to change communities. It has that ability to change lives and outcomes. So what is it about sport that's so special?
You know what? It's positive. Because you know what? You're not smoking dope if you're out running. Okay? You're not gangbanging if you're part of a team that you want to be proud of. Okay? And so I used to be threatened many times, okay, by gang members. No longer, because they understand you're trying to help their brothers. They get it, okay? They don't want to make the same mistakes. So the fact is, sports can bring the community together. They understand we care about each other. It's positive. The parents love it, okay? They may not know the game. I'm dealing with a young man. He's a Syrian refugee. The best soccer player I've ever seen in my life. His ball skills are incredible. He decided he wanted to play football. He came out as a trainer for the Cumberland Panthers, so I was coaching. And all of a sudden, this young man decides he wants to play football. So he'll be coming to St. Pat's next year. And what a player. But I said, play soccer. You're the best soccer player I've ever seen. What are you doing giving this game up? Play them both. But you just like when I saw that when I was a 6-year-old boy and I saw that sign up on the store saying about football tryouts, and I had a dream. The kid has the same dream.
Yeah.
So you tell me it's in the mind of a youth or child, and it's a wonderful thing. And when we ever lose that sense of joy or the mind of a child, God help us all. Because the world beats us all down. Or let's just be positive. Realize all we can do, all the positive things that we can do together, how much we can do together if we all work, as one. And that's the driver. And all I know is when we die, we can't take anything with us. So let's have a good time being positive and helping some folks out.
Yeah, no, for sure. And if you had to maybe distill it down to one or two key ingredients there, you've hit on positivity, a caring adult, someone believing in them, what are the key ingredients you think need to be there for kids to make those transitional changes in their lives?
Hope.
Yeah.
Hope, guidance, opportunity.
Yeah.
Hope, guidance, opportunity. They've got it inside them. You just gotta unlock it. Yeah. And once you unlock it, these kids can do anything. There's no shortage of brain power. Yeah. And so I remain encouraged. I see with some of these youth that are not playing sports, that have jobs, they're doing really well. Sorry, Seth. And so I see all the positivity and just that hope, opportunity, and some mentorship makes all the difference in the world. And isn't it great? Like you talk about, like I'm a very selfish person, Kyle, because you know what? When I help these kids, I get so much out of it. And for me, that's selfish. And that's what selfish is. And I'll keep doing it. All right. So, I guess, and I know it's a cliche, you get so much out of it. Well, you do, right? You do from giving and helping. If you just help till it hurts, you'd be surprised. You always get a little bit more energy. You want to do a little bit more. You meet like-minded people. That's something I really enjoy, meeting like-minded people like yourself. And I meet so many of them now. And we all get it. We're all teachers. They're not the yellers, the screamers, the recruiters. They get it. And when you meet other people that get it, it's just more powerful. And so we live in a great city. It's a beautiful city. It's a safe city. Still is very safe. And we just need to help the people that need a little bit of help. A hand up. They're not asking for a handout, just a help up. And we do keep doing that. We're going to see great things in Ottawa.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a world of opportunity there. And, for those who might be listening to this and want to get involved, whether it's through, Project Orange or helping out on the football side of things, or just even with Heron Gate in general, what are one or two things that you would sort of suggest people do to help out?
So I'm running about 8 programs. One of them is called Ashton Dixon, AD Youth Empowerment. Ashton Dixon's the tragic story. One of the best Ottawa's ever produced. Went to St. Pat's, was shot and killed, and the murder remains unsolved. Ashton did everything right. He never even went out and clubbed. Mm-hmm. He's an expectant father. We're running the 3rd annual Ashton Dixon Sportsman Camp. Youth Empowerment, still going to go on this year virtually. Look that up, get involved. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Doing a lot of computer courses, youth empowerment, reading, literacy, nutrition. Strong Orange, www.strongorange.org. Check that out. We're always looking for help. This is a huge endeavor. Positive now. I think every community is going to want this. Once we tested it, we made a 5-year commitment to Heron Gate.
Yeah.
In South Ottawa. St. Pat's football. Hey, go Irish. Come on out, bring your kids out. I'll tell you one thing I don't like is that we have parents that are shopping schools that live in St. Pat's area and don't send their kids to St. Pat's. I think that's shameful. I understand why they do it. But they have to understand what a great school St. Pat's is. There's no trouble there. The teachers are there because they want to be there. Makes a big difference. The teacher wants to be there, right? Yeah. Not, that's like. And the principal, Carrie Lynn Bowie, she's a saint. That's amazing work. It's a safe school. You can graduate there, go to any university you ever want to go from. So I think for those parents, and I see them, a lot of kids in the area, they leave the area, I think you're making a big mistake. When you can have a new classmate that just came over from Vietnam or Malaysia or somewhere, right? And you're learning about their culture and their country, I think you're richer for that. So that's what I would say about the school is people should go to St. Pat's or Richmont. Richmont has definitely gotten better, okay? And great people there also. And stop this flight of going to, I won't name the schools where they go to, but it's unacceptable. And hopefully that will get straightened out eventually. We have a great city. Those are great schools and a great community. So that's kind of what I would try to leave you with, Kyle, is there's a lot of good things happening. Positive. I apologize if I've been negative on any subject or any landlord or anything or anybody. Okay, I won't mention names. Okay,
Yeah.
or anybody that evicted people. Okay, but any of those things, I apologize. It's let's go back to Joe 1 and Joe 2 and the NFL and all those good things and all those great examples. And for every Neville Gallimore, I tell you, there's a Joe number 1 that's going to do a lot of great things, and I'll be just as proud of him. He's going to still call me, and never after 9 o'clock, so I won't answer the call. And hopefully their grandmas don't call too often. When the grandmas call, it's big trouble.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? Aren't we all lucky to be living and in this life and helping some folks out? Because guess what's going to happen? I had Wally Harris and Jim Shirley teach me everything I need to know about not just football, but life. I'm helping some kids the same way. Many other coaches like Sean and these other coaches are helping other people. These kids are going to keep passing it forward. They are. Those are all stories, right, that you want to pay it forward. And I think that's what it's all about. And it's joyful. And so I think we just keep no false praise, keep focusing on the positive. Fight. Football's a rough and tough game. Keep fighting. You got to compete in life, right? And again, half of life is showing up. You got to compete. And so those are all some of the things that we teach in the community. It's about the whole person and how to walk away from trouble and be independent thinker and make your own decisions and your own choices, because every choice has consequences.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for taking the time and sitting down with us. We really appreciate it. And for those that are listening right now, be sure to check out the many projects that we've got going on down in Heron Gate.
And go Irish. Go Irish.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to be hearing it from your alumni friends there at Ridgemont. All right. Take care, Paul.
See you guys. See everybody.
And that concludes another episode of the Dine Sports YouTube page and podcast network. Thanks very much for tuning in and listening today. Huge shout out goes to Paul Howard for sitting down and sharing his journey with us as well. We're really just starting to scratch the surface there. He's got stories for days, and the work that he's doing really is second to none. And I think that a lot of his passion comes through just not only in the stories he's telling, but in these interactions day to day with the communities that he's serving there. Just a friendly reminder to like, comment, share, subscribe, and keep tuning in. We've got some great guests coming up, and stay safe out there. We'll see you next time.